Welcome to Beyond Rockets. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Clark Dunn and I'm your host. Get ready to enjoy some awesome conversations from Huntsville locals about cool work they are doing right here in the Rocket City. You can connect with us on social media at Beyond Rockets, and if you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, I'd love to hear from you. You can visit my website, beyondrockets.com today, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Clark Dunn. Sit back and enjoy this episode of Beyond Rockets. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for the invite.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
To get us started, would you like to introduce yourselves, and we'll kind of kick it off there?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Clark. Yeah, I'm Nathan Eldridge. I am the pastor at Redeemer Presbyterian Church over in Decatur, Alabama, the big city of Decatur, and host a weekly podcast with my good friend Jeff Holsclaw. You want to know about my family and my dogs? And
I mean, it's interesting because I've known you for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then just now met Jeff.
Yeah.
I guess maybe 6 months ago, give or take.
Turn of the year. Yeah.
So Jeff, tell us a little bit about how you got to meet Nathan, and a little bit about yourself.
I showed up at his church about 3 years ago, and probably the first person that talked to me there was Nathan. He said, "Hey, hi," and I didn't know he was the pastor there. Said, "Hey, what are you here doing?" I said, "Well, man, I'm looking for a place to worship the Lord." He said, "Well, you found it." And we were out looking for a church, me and my wife at that time, and we visited there once and never stopped.
Wow,
It's fantastic church. Yeah.
Yeah, and so met y'all to do a podcast. So
Yeah.
we actually edit your podcast. I came through and kind of taught y'all how to do it. And
5-star reviews.
And
You did right.
all the logistics behind it. But I'm excited to have you here because I think, there's often people that maybe listen, maybe even myself at one point, that, have an idea for a certain podcast or have the idea to do something like that, but necessarily don't make the decision and the framework in place to actually execute on said idea. It's one of those things that's like, I've had hundreds of ideas for other podcasts.
Yeah.
Done some, done none, done some special, but it's one of those things of actually setting it up and doing it. Talk about the conversation maybe that y'all had prior to me being involved of Nathan, you going, "Hey, I want to do this." You probably had this idea for a podcast. I think we had actually talked about podcasting years prior.
Yeah.
When you were in different roles. Talk about this idea and then going into saying, "Hey, Jeff, you're us two are going to make this happen."
Yeah.
And
Man,
what was that conversation like?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's so funny because you and I had talked about it at least once, maybe a couple times, about what it would look like to do a podcast when I was working with a leadership organization here in town in Huntsville. And I just never could pull the trigger, just because in my mind, doing a podcast was just like me doing phone calls or video interviews with people. And that sounded fun, but it was so intimidating to me, the process of setting it up. I didn't know how to do it. And it's funny. I just didn't know how to do it. And I was like, I don't have time, man. I'm just swamped with other things. I can't pull it off. So never happened. And I was actually with a group of guys here in town, and they told me, it was like a Friday
night.
They were like, "Man, you need to do a podcast." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know how to do a podcast. I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't have time for that." The next day, Jeff calls and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to do a podcast?"
I wasn't part of the group on Friday night either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, it was really funny because I didn't want to do it by myself. I didn't want to just do something where I'm like talking at a screen. It just didn't have the appeal to me.
Because it almost makes it seem like it's, especially because,
Yeah.
what you were wanting to do, you didn't want it necessarily be about you.
That's exactly
It
right.
was about the content you were talking about.
That's right.
And it's like having that back and forth with somebody.
Yeah.
One is more interact. It's more entertaining to do stuff like this with people.
Oh, 100%.
Than it is to sit at a screen, talk to yourself, because it kind of feels a little weird. And it's like, how do you get the value out of it that you need to get out of it to get it to the people that need to see it?
Right.
And so you kind of have this weird kind of conundrum where you go, "Hey, it'll be fun."
Mm-hmm.
These group of guys are telling you should do this. And then Jeff rings you up and says, "Let's do this," not even knowing that you had this conversation
Oh, yeah.
the day prior or a couple of days prior. Jeff, why did you think Nathan would be a good fit for our podcast?
Yeah.
And why did you have this, "Hey, I've gone to this church, I gotten to know Nathan, this is something that is needed, and you wanting to even be a part of it?
Man, I really don't know. I have one daughter. She and I loved being a dad. It was like I was this coach, and she was very coachable. And she grew up and moved on, and now she's fixing to be a mom, got a great husband. And I missed that opportunity to pour into people's lives. And one of the most important ways to pour into people's lives is through the Word of God. I believe it. And Nathan has such a great way of teaching the Bible. And I thought it would be so great if I could team up with Nathan in some fun way that is a little different than sitting in the pew on Sunday, because my goal is to get men to come back to church, right? If we could entice men and let them know that church is not this stale, dry place, but it's a place of great amount of joy, I thought that Nathan would be awesome in that
Wow.
in that teacher role.
Yeah.
And he is. That's his forte. He is fantastic at it.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, I mean, it even kind of sounds like there was kind of an interest in your head too, of like, you wanted to be in the room to dive into things a little deeper with Nathan, and then also being able to reach a new audience, new people too. So it was a little bit about, like, not selfishly, like you wanted to do it, but like, you're like, this would be fun for me, and I also think it'd be fun for others. And I think that's the distinction that many people, it's a great, I mean, it's a huge starting point with doing something like this, is because if the joy is that, I'm excited for our relationship personally to grow with it, and then I'm excited to also be able to showcase it to other people too.
Yeah.
And like, that's such a cool feeling. You mentioned a little bit of the why of this podcast. Get into the naming of the podcast, and even maybe more, Nathan, into your perspective on, as you began this conversation with Jeff, how you solidified the why. Because I think that's one of those things that's, often maybe the hiccup for people, the hiccup in general when thinking about doing something, outside maybe their comfort zone, or even outside of into a new sort of endeavor, is the why. I think that's important because it's really set the stage for what y'all have done now.
Yeah, wow.
I think we're 16 episodes in as of this recording.
Right.
By the time this releases, you'll be probably 17, 18-ish, maybe even 19. So talk a little bit about that why from both y'all's perspective, and kind of elaborate on the naming and the reasoning behind getting this going.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The the why behind it, if the why was kind of off track, if I don't think it would have appealed to me. But when Jeff reached out and he's like, "Hey man, I want to do something that would really connect with men. I want to see men get back to church. I want to share the gospel with people." I mean, like every why, like every box was just being checked. I was like, yeah, man, all that stuff really energizes me. I love working with men. Man, I love sharing the gospel with people, and I love teaching the Bible. I mean, all the whys were there. And so for us, like a home run, and I think we've already hit some home runs, when we get feedback from people that it's helping. We're just, like we always say when we open up the podcast, we're just a couple of Christian guys having honest conversations about real life. That's it. And we read the Bible and we talk about it, and we really want to just make it accessible to people. But we also want to connect with people who may not feel a connection with the church. They're like, man, I don't know, like it feels stale. I feel like I don't have men friends there. And it's like, hey man, it's not like that everywhere.
No.
We want you to know there's a place where there's just normal guys who are dealing with the same things. And man, we have a blast. I think a big part of the why, one other thing I would say related to the why, we just want to see people find the hope and the help that they need through the church. Doesn't have to be the church we're at. But man, we really think people are just desperately looking for things all over the place, and they're just not finding it out apart from the church. And people have been hurt by the church. People have been, when you get a building full of people who are all imperfect, admittedly sinful people, things are going to happen. they're gonna get hurt. We want to help people feel welcome back in the church. We want them to feel like they can come. Uh, but that's some of it. I would say one other thing, just kind of circle back on one thing. Man, the chemistry, just the genuine friendship with this guy, it makes it so much fun. It's not, it's, yeah, it just
It's a
makes it a
pleasure
lot
to
of
do.
fun. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, I'm probably wandered a little bit on
No,
that.
I mean, I think, you know, you talked a little bit about this so-called success of doing this. Obviously, you're 6 months in. It's a weekly podcast, maybe even longer than 6 months at the time of this list. Everyone listening, with a podcast, the great thing about it is can be geographically related to people. Hey, we're local, we're Decatur, North Alabama, something like that. But the great thing is, too, it can be found through marketing, through social media to people that aren't here.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about maybe that success as you've seen it from your church congregation, maybe even from your perspective being the pastor of the church, to Jeff, your perspective of, you know, being the co-host with a podcast and in the congregation. Like, what has been what have those conversations been like with the people that, as you've been able to keep friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's kind of been surprising, you know, for me. Like some of my family members, they'll listen to it and they'll say things that are encouraging, positive things, and I'm just like, I can't believe you listen to this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's exactly right.
And then people at church, you know, that they listen to it, and honestly, we don't like at all. We don't promote it in church. We don't go like, hey, everybody, go listen to the next episode. We don't do that. It's just like a side thing that we're doing. But the people at the church know about it, and they like it. And so they watch, they comment, and they share it with their friends, and they repost it on social media. And I'm just like, what in the world? So that's pretty awesome to see. It's benefiting them. But I think it's in that regard, people are being helped by it, and we're enjoying it. And so far, those are two of the metrics. It has been, yeah. I'll leave it there.
You know, back like in the 90s, early 2000s, churches would get together and go knocking on doors and invite people in the local community. People don't do that much anymore, right? So I'm thinking of this as this knock on the social media door.
Oh, that's a
Come to our church.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody show up at our church yet says, "Hey, man, I'm here because of that podcast. I cannot wait for that day."
I mean,
Because
the person. You be the
Yeah,
person. You come shake our hand and be like, hey, I listened to that podcast.
'Cause-
Do it.
because that is, to me, one of my main goals, to get people to come to church.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, I mean, as we've been, you know, seeing as we've edited y'all's podcasts and been able to work with y'all to kind of see that growth happen. It's been interesting because, you know, the metrics of who you've been wanting to reach with the podcast is who you're kind of reaching.
Yeah.
Like
That's good.
it is like when Nathan and I have sat down and looked at it, it's, you know, demographic wise, age range wise,
Mm-hmm.
you know, mostly locationally, just because of, you know, things maybe we add, but, you know, the net's being cast.
Oh, that's nice.
How, as you, I mean, you're fairly, the church itself, you're fairly new at.
Mm-hmm.
How, like, this is something that you've seen in your, like, this, the issue and the why of the podcast is not something that has just been a why since you've been at this church. It's a why that you've had and you've both seen in past, in just as the church has grown and people have grown apart from it.
Yeah.
So how has, maybe we've talked about like the impressions since going to the church, meeting Nathan, having the conversation. How do you think your past experiences play a role into the podcast itself, from personally, your personal experiences, as well as just your environmental experiences that you've seen that play a part into the podcast, not just the moment that you had that conversation of let's do this?
All right. Boudreaux.
Yeah. When you were talking through that, the I don't know, main thing I thought about was COVID, how it kind of started this new era in social media, streaming church services. And I thought, this is the way it's going. And people have not come back to church since COVID, right? There's been this leaving. And it'd be interesting if we could use this same tool that we used during COVID to bring them back.
Man, that's great. Yeah. The way you framed the question there right towards the end about personal experiences leading in, how does that shape the podcast or maybe influence the podcast? And I'll tell you, so I was in kind of full-time vocational ministry for about 14 years, and man, life just punched me in the face
Mm.
big time. And it was really painful. Like I felt like my life was upended. I didn't feel like it. Like, it was. It was like a career reset. I mean, it was just in so many ways, I just went through a really hard season. And as the pastor guy, people often think, man, you must really have it down. Like, oh, everybody kind of sit up straight. The pastor's here, like he's got it together.
Never has any problem.
That's right. He doesn't have these problems. And man, all the times that I sat with families and I sat with individuals and tried to come alongside them and offer encouragement and support, I felt like I had answers. And then when I got punched in the face with life, it was like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
this is really, sometimes there just aren't good answers. And sometimes it just hurts really bad. And as a result of that, going through some major trials and difficulties, being able to sit in a podcast now and just be honest about stuff and say, hey, man, if you're struggling with this, you got to deal with it, or it may not get better. And that's not a defeatist mentality. It's just, I need somebody to be honest with me. If you go to the doctor and you've got cancer and it's, say it's terminal and it's metastasized, and the doctor's like, no, man, we're going to lick this. It's going to be great. Like, the doctor's not helping you.
Mm.
The doctor's not being your friend if they're not honest with you. And sometimes I think in the church, the answers are, even though things are really bad in your marriage, everything's going to be great. This is going to work out. Or, man, I know there's hardships right now, but man, it's going to be okay. And sometimes it's just not going to be okay right now. Sometimes it's going to hurt for a while. And being able to have honest conversations about real life and where people really live, I think that's a distinctive of the podcast. We're really, I have no interest, Jeff doesn't have any interest in trying to put on airs and pretend to be something that we're not. We just want to be honest. And we want, what I think we want, and we kind of say, like, there's always a seat at the table for you on the Sift. And when we do that, I would love for anybody to feel like they could come and sit at the table with us and ask a question and not feel stupid and not feel like they're going to be judged. And we're like, that's a good question. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, we want people to feel welcome. Like, it's okay if things are messy. Like, that's okay. And so I think part of my own experience going through all that, and God has graciously restored, and I've got it's just, God's been so good to me. And anyway, I say all that because I think just getting some lumps on my head along the way have really shaped me and makes this podcast something a little different.
It's refreshing to hear that from a pastor, right? Because a lot of people think, wow, that would never happen to a pastor or somebody who goes to church, but life happens to everybody.
Oh yeah,
Everybody. Nobody is immune to it.
no, and I think for pastors, I think there are a lot of times there's a fear that if people know about the things that we're going through, whether that's marital difficulties, addiction struggles, whatever the case might be, man, if the church finds out, man, I am toast. And so there's this very real fear. And sadly, if the church finds out, sometimes you're going to be toast. It's going to happen. But there's this fear and this pressure to maintain certain appearances. And I'll tell you, one of the things I think makes our church special is that I don't think we feel that pressure. Like, people know my story,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, glad you're here. And so I think that vulnerability and honesty, candor, I think is something that is refreshing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I think, it's interesting because, like, we get the opportunity to see the banter in the podcast.
Mhm.
We get the opportunity, my wife edits it. I do all the clips, so I get to, like, capture those moments that I think is what you're looking for,
Mhm.
mhm.
Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is, but most of the time I try to capture the things. And it's interesting because like you said, the the way you all approach it and the chemistry you have, and you do make it seem, and you do a very good job of this, and kind of maybe giving y'all your flowers. You do a good job of, having the written word and going through it, and for those listening, it could be tough to follow along, or maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just a little, but then you make it into something that is tangible in the sense of real world experience. Hey, here's this, but here's what this looks like, or here's this, and here's what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then, oh, well, it looks like that, and then y'all get to go back and forth on that, and then it's back to something. So it's like this. It's honestly, it's an entertaining podcast, to the sense that I don't think if someone's listening and they're not sure about listening to a Christian podcast, I would say you just have to, the starting of it is it's something, there's something there for everybody, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's a great compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Because and it's fun to see, I think that human aspect of it
Yeah.
is kind of what people are wanting. And so I think, often there's things we leave in that maybe we would typically take out, but you want it in.
There's a couple of times where I'm like, can you edit that out? He's like, no, do that.
But it's one of those that's what it would be if I was with my friends talking about X, Y, or Z. It doesn't have to be the same subject, but it's how I would talk to them.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that's the most, it makes it the most consumable for people. And obviously, you're just getting started, have been going on this podcast.
Yeah.
But, the sky's the limit on this. We sit in end of April, which is crazy to think about.
Oh, no, man.
Obviously the goal of the podcast so far, it seems like, is, getting people to the church and having that interaction with somebody that says, hey, I came because I saw this.
Yeah.
Or even if they're joining a live stream and they're like, hey, I came because I saw the podcast and there was a link and I came and watched it.
I'll buy you lunch if you come to church.
Yeah.
So just do it. Christmas.
So, is that, as you,
something.
For those, and maybe from both of your perspectives, maybe those people that are listening that don't know about the podcast, that are obviously, we'll have links to everything, but what is your goals, or what do you kind of see maybe the next 6 months look like? Or even just through the rest of the year, the rest of 2026, what do you see that look like for the podcast? And what would be your, things, your bits of pieces that you'd want to give to somebody that's maybe haven't seen it, heard it, watched it, and maybe their first inclination is, I don't want to listen to a Christian podcast. What would you say to them?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, you
goal
feel
first
that?
if you want.
Softball.
Yeah. If you want to go goal first, and then what would you give to them?
Yeah, I'd say I'll toss a few things out. I think that as we've gone through this, one of the things that we've done, because we really want to speak to guys, and we have a lot of ladies that listen as well, but really the kind of the avatar, or the person we're aiming at is the husband, the dad, the father. We want to hit the guys, but I think for us in the next 6 months, something that's been coming to my mind more and more, and we just did something to this end. I want to build a community of people. I don't want it to just be this information that's going out. We really want to build a community. So, I mean, we send out notes and say, hey, man, how can we pray for you? And people will send us prayer requests. And it's like, we totally take it seriously. So we're praying for you. And beyond that, we're trying to do some things to get people engaged. Like, we've got this beautiful, lovely squirrel on the shelf. And his name...
Don't say it.
All right, we're not going to say the name. But we're going to do another contest at some point in the near term to try to just get people engaged. It's a taxidermied squirrel with a cowboy hat and a 6-shooter. I mean, it's the craziest looking little critter on the wall. So, I mean, sitting on the shelf behind Jeff, and we've named the squirrel, and we want people to guess the name of the squirrel. We just want to make it fun. We want there to be a sense of community, so that people feel like it's they're not detached from it, but they're connected to it. I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is we've emphasized at this point, like in marketing, we've really put money and time and energy behind like certain platforms and try to build up an audience or a community on a certain platform. And then now we have to shift gears and go to the other platforms and try to build those up and see what that looks like. And man, we have learned so much about what this even takes. I'll tell you, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, it's not going to be as easy as you think. I'll tell you that. It's not for the faint of heart. Be ready for the investment. And when you get ready to launch, call Clark. But
Yes.
we had no idea what we were doing, and we called
Still don't.
Clark. And Clark literally he started walking us step by step through, this is what it's going to require, and he could do it. We were thinking, oh, we just need a consult. We needed to, and then by the time we got done, we're like, you're our guy.
Yeah.
Man, you're the man. And so it's been a great partnership.
The easy button for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of next 6 months, I would say if somebody wants to know what if you could kind of get right alongside a guy, a man who on the one hand is seen as like this incredible leader. People love him as a leader. They get excited about him. But there is this dark side to him where he has huge moral failures, and he's honest about it. And it affects not only him, it affects lots of people. It has negative impact on his family. I mean, would you want to get up close to that kind of guy? Right? I mean, just to learn from him and to see how does God work in a man's life like that. And I would say the next 6 months plus, we're going to be camped out in the life of David.
Yeah.
And so, come on, let's go on the journey together. Come, there's a seat at the table for you.
Yeah. That's excellent. David is this man's man, and I cannot wait to dive into this.
It's going to be great.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
It's
Can't
gonna be
wait.
great.
Yeah.
And that's, for us, I think something that came up recently in one of our podcasts is that we see a big part of our role as not making the Bible relevant. Like you said earlier, like things come up and make it very tangible, and this is what it looks like in real life, in your marriage, as parents, at work, whatever. These very practical things come up. And as we go through the podcast, what we realize is, and we knew this, but we want people just to see how incredibly relevant the Bible is. It's not like we make it relevant. It is relevant. And when what makes it feel irrelevant is when people read it in a very superficial way, and it's like we just want to get the payoff right now, quick. But it takes time. It's like a tea, like a bag of tea. You have to just let it steep. You can't just dunk the tea bag and you get to full flavor. You have to actually let it marinate and steep in the water. And over time, the aroma comes out. The flavor is full. And that's the way it is. That's what we're doing when we get together and we do this podcast each week. We're really just letting the tea steep for about an hour. And man, all kind of stuff comes out. And I promise you, every week, this guy, you got a kind of a pastor, preacher, creature, and you've got an engineer guy.
Just a pew sitter, right? Just some guy in the back of the church. I literally sit in the back row, right?
This guy got multiple degrees. He's got like a law degree. He's got engineering degree. I mean, this guy is brilliant. So don't let him poor mouth himself. And we just have a blast. And he'll bring things to the table, and I'm like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think. That's great. That's a great insight. And so every week there's just this back and forth where we're just having a good time.
I have this superpower, dyslexia. Makes me read through everything I want to read through about 5 times before I can understand it, right? And it's just a weird way of, I don't know, getting insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, that back to that community aspect a little bit. I think we'll probably talk about it. My brain's rolling with ideas for y'all right now.
Awesome out, man.
But I think it's interesting because I think that, that idea of building the community, I think the podcast is so like successful as we sit today. Like we've seen success. First off, we wanted to do it because we enjoy this. This is needed. We think there's an audience for this. Awesome. That's great. We see some success. This is great. I think that community aspect continues to add another level of the success to it. And I think the chemistry of, maybe you might think polar opposite people as hosts, though not opposite, but just look at things
Right.
differently.
Right.
I think that's the key. That's the puzzle piece.
Mm.
I think,
good.
if you're looking to build the community from what y'all are doing currently, it's finding people like you, Jeff, like
Mhm.
you, Nathan, and bringing
Mhm.
them together. Because
Yeah.
it's not
Oh man, that's really
it's
good.
not you looking for people like Jeff or Jeff looking for people like you. It's you looking for people that look like you or think the way you think.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
great.
or like, similar interests and hobbies and life and all of this.
Yeah.
But it's like when you bring those people together, then it's like it's your podcast just in person
Yeah.
with others, without microphones, without lights, without podcast boards, without cables, without cameras.
Yeah.
That's the community level.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. It's a fun podcast. I thoroughly enjoy getting to edit it. I edited some stuff today for y'all.
That's fun.
And
And I
so
love that you
it's-
even listened to it. That's all funny. I know.
It's
I know
a lot. I
fun.
mean, like, and it's fun because I get to see the snippets, which I think for those that listen to a
You get to see all
podcast,
the bad stuff.
it's like for me, and I think of the way that I consume content, podcasting is such a tool that gives you so much.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk for an hour, we can talk for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and you get so much. And I think, how I consume content for something like this is the shorts and the reels. So it's like I get to make y'all 3, 4, 5 reels per episode. And so it's like
Yeah.
I get to see moments from the beginning, moments from the middle, moments from the end. And it's kind of like I get to almost make my little puzzle of like, oh, this is the conversation look like. And then I can also
Yeah.
listen to it if I want. But I think too, it's like
Oh.
when you're reaching people that are trying to, from the social media and just gathering them in, you have that opportunity to capture somebody in that snippet and grab them in. And they may only listen to snippets. They may only listen to, they may only watch the thing. They only listen to it, but you have that opportunity to reach them. But yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting. I feel like, we've done so much for the podcast already. And I think as time goes on, it's just going to continue to find new ways to engage and interact and bring people in.
Yeah.
I would love any insight you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes. So if people want to listen to your podcast and watch your podcast and follow you on social media,
Yeah.
all of those links will be in the show notes of the audio if you're listening or in the video
That's
if you're
awesome.
watching.
I don't know if we ever said the name. Did we ever say the name? The Sift?
I'm glad I came up with that name.
Yeah, that's a great name. Did we ever even say
I
the
think
name?
so.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay, on the front end.
Yeah.
And that whole idea, that was a fun, just trying to figure out what are we going to call this thing, man. And then it's like we batted around all these ideas, and at some point the Sift came out, and it was like,
That's it.
got it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So
we just want to sort through life.
The Sift is on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the good things. So we'll have links to everything. So if you're listening to this and you want to take a listen, you want to watch, you want to see them, you want to see the squirrel that they talked about, you can definitely check that out. But I appreciate y'all taking the last 20 plus 30 minutes or so. Not sure how long we've been talking. And to share a little bit about y'all's experience of this podcast and kind of the why. And I look forward to kind of continuing to see what it shapes itself to be. I think, the ability from a creative perspective on y'all's end to be able to pivot and change and try new things is kind of the testament to find success.
Yeah.
Because there's no clear path for the podcast. There's no clear path for what you're trying to do. But I think being able to, and being aware, hey, let's try this. Let's try this. But being also aware that like, it's okay if it doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
But we can try it. And I think that's going to be fun to see what all happens and how it all unfolds. But I appreciate it.
All right.
Great.
Well,
Wow.
thanks for hosting us today.
Yeah.
And just a shameless plug for Beyond Rockets. Man,
Yeah,
great job. Great team to work with. Easy to work with. Worth every penny.
Yeah. Well, I
So-
appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Rockets. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and on YouTube at Beyond Rockets. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Beyond Rockets to stay up to date with new episodes as they are released. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.